James Lawley, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, James?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Thanks a lot for taking the time for doing this interview. I wanted to talk to you about one of the posts that you put out lately. Hold on, I'm going to put it on the screen so that people have an idea of what we're doing. Things that have helped me when working from home. And today I want to talk to you about this kind of stuff. But first, why don't you introduce yourself quickly so that people know who they're going to listen to?
Yeah, cool. So my name is James Lawley. I've worked in 𝗙𝗵𝗻 for, over 10 years. I've been self-employed for 10 years. I studied product design at university. So sort of through that learnt to visualize products that I couldn't build, that I couldn't prototype. Got some freelance work and worked for a few years in a studio just doing 𝗙𝗵𝗻 stuff. Kind of hone my skills there. And then when I moved cities like 10 years ago, I decided I didn't really want to go and work for someone else at that point, so that I would start my own business. But I mean, as I put in the post about working from home, I've not been full-time self-employed over the last 10 years. It's been like on and off. I've not worked for another studio doing other stuff, but I've had other bits of jobs here and there doing different things. Some stuff in retail, some stuff in hospitality, sort of different areas. Been in bands, done all sorts of different things over the years. But yeah, then sort of a couple of years ago, went back to doing this full time, which is great. But yeah, certainly have tried lots of different things working from home in different situations, in different houses and apartments. So I guess have gotten to experiment and find out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And obviously right now everyone is potentially facing working from home. And so I thought, well, here's something else I have a bit of experience with. And, from my experience, there's no like rules, there's no hard and fast things. This is stuff you have to do. But certainly some things that have helped me, stay sane, helped me to stay positive and find some, I guess, like sort of find some joys in life that you can't replace normally, and trying to replace those whilst working from home, if that makes sense.
So let's talk a little bit about the things that we might recommend to people that will have to start working from home. Obviously there is all the technical aspect, but I guess that everybody has to sort it out in the way they need for their pipeline and for the people that they're collaborating with. Let's talk a little bit more about the side that not many people are talking about, the personal side, if you like. Or
I think there's like loads of already seeing, because so many people are working from home now. I've seen loads of things about how to stay focused, how to stay proactive, different ways to work best. So there's loads and loads of content out there, and for me, sort of thankfully, being self-employed, it's just me, so I'm kind of thankful I don't have to deal with lots of remote access to servers and remote access to asset libraries and huge issues like that. So it's quite nice for me. All my stuff is here on the desk or in a cupboard, all the other stuff that I need. But yeah, there's all the things that I think that you miss, and I guess that's what I would say the best place for people to start. That's things for me, like working from home full time. I miss like walking to work. I miss like getting a coffee and sort of clearing my head on the way to work. And I think if you work from home, you don't have a chance to do that necessarily. And then, I kind of over the years, like I said, have tried different things and found patterns that work for me. So like things like what I wear to work, I know like a lot of people who work from home, a lot of people who maybe work from home part-time and go into the office sometimes. It's quite nice when you're working from home. You can be in your pajamas. You can be in your... One of my best friends just sent me a message, and it's him in his football shirt, and he's like, I could never wear this football shirt to the office. This is great. But for me, that like never worked because I do it full-time. So I kind of found that if I just roll out of bed and into the, to the desk, I don't feel any like difference. So for me, like having getting up, get dressed, have breakfast like I normally would, go into work, and you know, I'm not wearing joggers under the desk here. I'm not naked under the desk. It's like I'm like dressed like I would be going to the office like normal. And I find for me that just that mental sort of step, like get dressed, make yourself look smart. Maybe you'll do a FaceTime call with Fabio, who knows? But just that mental step of like getting ready for work made a real big difference for me personally. So that's just become a thing that I do. Like I just stick to that. And you know, that was kind of one of my first kind of steps, I guess. How do you find it? Because you're like working from home all the time.
Myself, yes. Do you think that there is a difference in terms of productivity working from home and working in an office? Because, you know, this is one of the main worrying of like business owners, that when their guys will not be under the watch all the time, they will stop making stuff. What's your take on this?
I guess, I mean, I think it's probably quite tricky because it depends on what, like for me, it's great. It's easy. I don't have employees. It's only me. But I can totally see where, you know, you'd be worried like, oh, are they putting in 100%? Are they putting in all the hours? Are they actually watching Netflix? Are they actually, you know, are they even at the desk? Maybe they've like gone for a dog walk or something. I think it comes back to like, what are you motivated by? And for me, like my motivation has always been do good work. And so for me, if I'm doing good work, I'm motivated to do that. And I think if I was working at a studio where maybe I wasn't that fussed, but that, you know, that could come back to like, if I was employing someone, trusting them to work at home, like would also come with trusting them to be in touch with the clients, trusting them to take ownership of the project, trusting them to, you know, be really invested in a project and be motivated to get things done. So yeah, I totally get that being like a scary factor, but I think there's so many positives to come out of that trust.
I think
that like investment.
You know, of course, it will have to come down also to the person. I remember that when I started to work from home, because I was not able to show that I was working to the person that was hiring me, the fact that I wanted to do more than I was actually asked, because, you know, I wanted to over-deliver on what this person was looking for from me. And so, I don't know, it comes down to the people. But ultimately, I think that those who care enough about their jobs, it won't change much if they have to work from home or if they have to work from the office. Obviously, I still think it is best when everybody's together in the same room.
I think it depends. Like, there's some projects, like some clients I work with, and I almost become their like in-house visualization team, but it's not practical for them to have, you know, they don't need an actual in-house team. So there's an interior designer, particularly who I work with, and they have quite a collaborative process, and it's the kind of thing where like, actually, yeah, being in their office would definitely speed things up a little bit. So we've naturally had to put things in place because I'm not like in their office. And I think that's where like, yeah, I mean, like you were saying before, having the right tools. So like for that company, we use Slack, probably in a similar way that an in-house company would, you know, and everyone who's working for the company is on Slack together, and, you know, whether they're in the same building or whether they're just sat next to each other. But it's great because I can just throw a screenshot into somewhere. I can like annotate something almost as if I'm showing them on a notepad, you know, sat right next to them, when they're miles away. And so I think I'm sure for studios and offices that are now having to work remotely, having a really quick, easy, sort of seamless conversation tool, something like Slack, or Teams, or, you know, there's so many different options, whatever's kind of suiting your workflow. Having something that replaces that quick, you know, neighbor conversation, chatting to the person that's next to you, sort of helps a lot. And having a lot of calls, like stuff that you think like, oh, I'll put this in an email, oh, I'll put this in Slack. No, just phone people, or like get multiple people on a call, because you'll just thrash it out so much quicker.
I've heard somebody coming up with a counter argument to that then we're going to end up having too many like useless phone call meetings, sort of. But anyway, let's try to maybe let's try to kind of summarize a little bit the tools that you personally use for like remote work. What are the tools that you use the most in order to keep in touch or to be more productive?
I mean, for me, it's like different with different clients. Like, because I don't have sort of because it's just me being self-employed. I don't have like colleagues that I'm kind of doing stuff back and forth with. But different clients have different ways of working. That so like one that I'm working really super integrated with, like Slack works really, really well because it's so easy to collaborate. For others that maybe don't need as sort of closer conversation, they just want do a thing and then show me at the end. That's where just like having things like Google Drive and using G Suite and that kind of thing, where you can upload files but they can annotate things on as well, a bit more flexibly than email. I generally find like email's a bit sort of stale, like email just you find things can take a really long time over email, especially if you're dealing in bigger groups. There's a project that I'm in the middle of working on at the minute. It's like a really big long-term project, but it's really heavily involving a big architect's practice, a big housing developer, a marketing agency, a landscape designer, and everybody has sort of different opinions about every different bit. And at some points where we've had an email thread, it gets like really confusing and it gets really complicated because you have all these different parties, wanting to chip in a different bit of the conversation. Whereas, hosting a central, like rather than sending a draft artwork through an email and then waiting for 5 different sets of feedback, like hosting it somewhere that it can be annotated, or can be duplicated by each party and they can each put their notes on it, and that kind of thing sort of makes it a lot smoother, I think, rather than like waiting on each separate bit.
There are some project management tools that allow you to do that. I think in the last company where we were working, we were using, I want to say Bootcamp. Was it called Bootcamp? I don't remember anymore. But you could put
there's
like a picture.
There's loads and loads of tools like out there.
But actually, in theory, you could do it also with Google Drive, like if you were using.
Totally.
Because you could just put a picture and then people could add their comments, and then you see, who is responsible for which comment. When.
The other thing is that like the simple sort of, there's loads of really sophisticated tools designed for each of these things like that, but some of the bigger projects need more tools, I guess, is the kind of bigger thing. But even for some smaller projects, using Google Sheets and that kind of thing. So like for a few different clients, we have Google Sheets kind of running. It's just like an Excel spreadsheet, but it's collaborative. So we can have multiple people chipping in. So the marketing agency can be writing in this spreadsheet, these are the images that we need of these particular apartments, or this angle and that angle. And then I can write in, cool, well, for me to do that, I need this from the architect, I need this from the landscape designer, I need this from, I need to know these elements of the scheme. And then each different party can maybe post a link or can post some files back into the same spreadsheet. And then equally, the developer can look at it and go, well, I can see that the architect's given what they need, and I can see that the marketing agency's given what they need, but I can also see that this person hasn't contributed, so like I'll chase that up. So I think like even just like a collaborative spreadsheet and Google Sheets works really, really well for that.
Let me ask you then instead about something a little bit more physical, the space where you can actually work, because I like the fact that you talk about having a specific space. I remember when my in the beginning my stay-at-home place was together in the living room, to me was kind of depressing a little bit, because it was like never abandoning the job, you know? I was like always looking at the screen on one side and TV on the other.
Yeah, totally. I think like, and that's something that I think people are going to be really challenged with at the minute, where they're not, you know, if you have lots of time to think about it and lots of time to plan ahead, you can choose where your office is going to be at home. You can buy a desk. You can buy all the right equipment you want. But I think having a dedicated space is really important, whatever that is. You know, we were like fortunate enough when we were moving into the house here that we knew we would want an office.
Yes.
You know, we knew like the spare room, like the sofa behind is the sofa bed that, you know, guests come and stay on. But otherwise this room is my office at the minute. Okay. But for those people who are just suddenly dumped with, now you've got to work from home, I think trying to find a space, even if it's an improvised space, both, like, I think it's great to have a space you can go to, because then, you know, that's where you work. You can leave notebooks, you can put different things out that you need on the desk, and you don't have to tidy it away all the time. But also I think it's really important to have a space you can leave, because like exactly like you said, it's so easy, you know, you get to 6 o'clock, you put the TV on, but then you think, well, I've got my laptop, I'll still do a bit of something, and then you know, you're sort of half doing work, and I guess then you maybe do the same thing the next day in the morning, because you're like, well, I worked for a couple of hours last night, so I'll put the TV on, it'll be fine. But it's not quite the same as like having a space you go to do the work and then you leave it after. And yeah, that is like super difficult. I get that. You know, if you're living in a small apartment, you may not have a spare bedroom, you may not have a desk that you can go to, but maybe you can just section off one end of the dining table, you know, maybe put some plants on the dining table so you know this is my area to go and work at. And then you can set out the bits you need. And, you know, even if it's just things to help create a workspace, like you put a backup hard drive there, and you put a few like relevant books that are going to help inspire you, but you make that your little workspace. Because then, like I say, you can go to that space. You immediately are in that frame of mind.
Yes.
And then at 6 o'clock or whatever time is right for your office, you leave, and then you can go to the other space, and you can go and sit at your sofa, and you can go in the kitchen, and you can relax properly without going back to it.
I think there is this subtle spiritual connection between yourself and your working space. I know myself, I have a studio and it's a room that you can close. When I'm out, I'm either on the couch, I'm cooking, or I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not in here. And when I'm here, it's like productivity. You know, I work, but I try to also shut it down when I need to shut it down. I try to keep my routine. And actually, this is a question that I wanted to ask you, because you also talk about routine. Let's just talk about routine. You wrote in your post that you need to have a normal routine. Let's try and break it down for people so that they can understand a little bit better what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the starting place is what's your normal routine? And if your normal routine is you get up and you go to the gym, you know, a lot of my friends, that's the first thing they do. They get up, they go to the gym, they maybe have a shower at the gym, they go from there to work. Or what I used to do almost every day is I would get up and I would have a walk to work, and I'd listen to a couple of particular podcasts that were like daily news kind of podcasts, or like a, you know, sort of inspiring tech, you know, design podcast, and I'd get a coffee from a particular place on the way to work, and that, you know, when I'd get to work, a sort of transition has happened where like I've left the house in one frame of mind, and through that journey I'm now in a different frame of mind. And so maybe it's just, we'll work out what's your normal routine now going to work, and what things can you keep from that. And maybe some of them, you know, maybe some people hate their commute and they're thinking, amazing, like I don't have a commute and I can just go straight to work. But what happens behind the scenes? You know, what happens in your brain during that commute? Maybe you read a book when you're on the train, and actually maybe that helps you to, you know, put away the worries of the world, and you're in a fiction world for half an hour on your journey to work. One of my best friends who lives in London, that's his commute, and he's reading a book, and then by the time he's getting off the train, he's in a different place, and he's mentally in a different place. So for me, I kind of do the similar things that I used to, walking to work, getting a coffee, listen to particular daily news podcasts, but I do that in my kitchen. And so I listen to those same podcasts, and I put myself in that same frame of mind, so that even though I'm only going, you know, 2 rooms away, by the time I come to my desk, you know, I don't bring my coffee cup that I've had. It sounds really silly, but like I stay in my kitchen drinking this coffee until I finish the coffee, and then I go to the desk, because that for me is like sort of, that's right now work starts.
I like that.
And it just helped me to sort of have that.
I like that.
Frame of
I'm always very curious about the way other people stay productive, and sometimes it could be a very silly thing. It's like, I remember that one of the things that I started to do better in the very early morning was, when I would take the dog out, I would journal. I would write a journal. And from this journal, I would take ideas for my videos, for instance. When I started to go for walks in the morning, and that became part of my routine, I would see that my brain would activate a lot better, if that makes any sense. And, you know, I was able to write a lot more. I was able to explore a little bit more my ideas, my thoughts, my feelings. I was a lot more productive. Now, because of Corona, we're not allowed to go out. It's, you know, it's been for now about 3 weeks already of us having reduced time outside. It's crazy. It's
how's the dog coping?
You're allowed to go. You're allowed to do this stuff for,
same
you know,
here. Same here.
In the morning, but you know, you have to go to places where there is not much people. And to me, the weirdest thing is when people pass by with other dogs and they keep their distance, and I'm like, shit, what have we done?
Yeah. See, for me, what this is just a little sidetrack. I have 2 dogs. They're literally sat under my desk. We have 2 small sausage dogs, and they're my HR department. They're my executive officers in the business. They're both sleeping right now, so they're like hard at work. They wouldn't do remote working very well. They'd just be asleep all the time. But one of them is a rescue, so he's a little bit crazy. So I was always that guy who crossed the street and walked somewhere far away because of the rescue dog being a little bit shouty and a little bit mad. So now it's fine. Now everyone's doing the same. So I just blend in with everyone else crossing the road and hiding.
Okay, so let me ask you, there is one more slide to your productivity from home, so to say, carousel.
Yeah.
The substitute your treats. I mean, I love this. I think that this was what triggered me to hit the like on your post. Because, I mean, like, since I've been home from the situation, Corona, and I cannot go outside, and my wife is also staying home, we're cooking. Like, we're doing breakfast with eggs and bacon, we're doing pasta at 12, we're doing like antipasti and salad in the night. We're eating.
Nice.
Like, we're stuffing ourselves. That's probably a better way to put it. How do you keep yourself from not getting diabetes?
Oh yeah, that's tricky. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's difficult, especially now. You know, people can't go to the gym. That's going to be a lot harder. You know, people are going to be going for a run, but making sure they keep their distances from everyone else. Maybe. Yeah, I think you know, it's pros and cons. Since working from home compared to when I wasn't working from home, I certainly spend a lot less money, which is good, on treats, because, you know, even if it's the same quality of sandwich, it's much cheaper to make it yourself from the fridge than it is to buy it from a fancy cafe. I mean, like have something to remind you to get up and walk around. You know, whether that's whether that's an Apple Watch or whether it's something that
Fitbit works great for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so many like tools that we have now, do give us those kind of reminders. Thankfully for me, like the dogs are a good trigger for that.
Yeah.
So they need to go for a walk and they want to go to the other room. They want to go and see what's going on in the rest of the house. So they're a good reminder, like when they go up and have a little walkabout, that maybe I should as well. But I think kind of one of my points kind of with that was more about like, don't forget that you can still have some of those nice things like in your life, whatever that is.
You're totally right. Sometimes when I do something like, say, I finish editing a video and it's like 6 or 7 hours of work, usually what I like to do is start very early in the morning, because then I know that I can take the rest of the day off unless I have client meetings. And so I treat myself. I go for a orange juice or carrot juice at the coffee house. Now you cannot go out anymore, or maybe there might be cases where people leave outside of the house and there is no coffee house to go to. You need to prepare yourself, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's like, if you do read the post on Instagram or whatever, coffee comes up a few times. Like, I'm a big coffee fan. Like, I love coffee. Like, I'm a bit of a coffee geek. Like, I like different methods for making coffee and that kind of stuff. So for me, like, working from home and never going to obviously you can still go to nice coffee places. That's fine, even if you work from home normally. But at the minute, maybe not so much, maybe less, and in some places maybe not at all. And maybe that maybe that'll stay for a little while. But yeah, like, so for me, that was researching ways I could make really nice coffee at home. And when find ways you can do it without spending loads of money is good as well. Like, I wasn't going to go out and buy £1,000 espresso machine, the same as the cafe that I like, but I found different ways of preparing coffee at home. And then, because that's something I enjoy, I order beans, like coffee beans, direct from a few different places, and I grind them myself in the kitchen, like every morning, part of my kind of routine. But that's like a little bit of joy in my day, and that's like a little treat for me. And it's the same, like I used to, buy nice sandwiches out places and that kind of thing. And because we can't do that, well, I'm not just going to have like a plain piece of bread, for lunch, but I can buy nice bits to go in it. Like I can make a really boring sandwich really interesting with little extra bits in it and make it feel like a nice premium, lunch experience, and replicate some of those things that, not just like a food treat. That was like a mental health treat. That's like a little bit of joy in my day when I'm, making that nice, enjoying that really, really nice sandwich.
I'm a big believer in all these things, because we humans work for incentives, and you have these little things in your life. They make your life better, easier.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And, it's like little, like silly things, but like, when a render's going and maybe I can't do anything else, like I have my guitar like right by the desk. Like little things, little things like that make my day a joy. They're little things. It's just me on my own in my house, and the dogs, and that's it. But like, if I can find these little nuggets of joy, to keep me going through the day, then that's great.
James, let's do a quick recap for those who maybe just skipped to the end of the video to see what happened.
Yeah, that's fine.
To see the end of the... Let's make
I don't know how long this was meant to be.
It's long enough, don't worry. James, let's do a little recap for people so that, we can give them some bullet points as of how to be a little bit more productive at home, working from home.
Yeah, so for me, it's like find the things that give you joy and keep you motivated normally, And then, you know, that's what it comes down to. And then replicating that in your work from home arrangement, you know, whether that is getting up and getting dressed and, you know, looking the part for work, because for me, that puts me in the right frame of mind. Whether it's finding the right physical space to work in, setting aside a space if you can that is your dedicated work area that you can come and be productive and then leave is just as important. Finding that routine, whether that is your normal routine, a commute, reading a book, going to the gym, and trying to replace those little bits of your routine in your work from home setup. And then finding those little treats, finding those moments that normally inspire you in your day, whether it is a food thing or whether it's, you know, seeing a certain friend at a certain time of day, and maybe you just set up a FaceTime call with that person instead rather than actually seeing them. And just substituting those things that normally inspire you and refresh you for your work day, and how you can bring those into your working from home arrangement.
James, you're a very talented designer. I'm going to put all the links to the description of the video. Guys, go give him a like on Instagram. Dude, I just want to thank you for the time. Thanks for talking to me. I really hope that some people might find this inspiring, watching it from home. Is there anything else that you want to add to this before we say goodbye?
No, not at all. I think everything you said, and just trying to keep positive, trying to find those things that can inspire us, and, you know, try and take some benefits out of this scary time. And you know, I think the more we can do as an industry, and, you know, that goes broader than 𝗺𝗏𝗄, you know, whether it's architects, designers, interior designers, how we can inspire and help each other out, especially during this like pretty scary, difficult time, and take that forward.
I love that, man. James, thanks a lot. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop the recording. I'll talk to you in a second.
All good. No worries.
Thanks a lot.